This woman went from being a popular photo model to one of the most terrifying and cruel guards of the SS retinue at the Stutthof Concentration Camp. Despite the huge number of photos taken during her lifetime, the most famous photo of her is the one in which she's already dead. Jenny Wanda Barkmann was born on May 30th, 1922 in Hamburg, in what is now Germany, then known as the Weimar Republic. From childhood, the girl was constantly surrounded by attention and never suffered from a lack of it. In the future, when she grew up, not least because of her bright appearance, the girl was remembered as a child with a truly angelic face. In addition, she was a blue-eyed blonde, which a little later, during the reign of the same Adolf, would play into her hands, because a small Aryan girl is no different. In short, Jenny grew up with the glory of a future beauty. While studying at school, she repeatedly heard from her friends something like, "Hey, you could be a real model," and, along the way, this idea deeply settled in her head, because after all, that was all she dreamed of, to shine on the covers of the most famous publications in Germany. And maybe not only in Germany. After finishing school, Jenny immediately enrolled in a Hamburg performing arts studio, where she quickly gained not only new knowledge, but also acquaintances, as they say, useful ones, which eventually helped her get on the cover of a Hamburg magazine for the first time. Not very famous, but nevertheless Jenny liked everything, the process of filming, the feeling of her own significance and, of course, popularity. It was 1940, no TikToks or YouTubes. Getting into any newspaper or magazine for an average person who wasn't involved in media was like immediately becoming a blogger with an audience. Well, in Barkmann's case, like bloggers on Instagram who don't even sign their posts. By the way, at first she was only working for fashion magazines, but soon she started accepting work in other magazines, men's magazines, where she appeared, well, not very dressed. Barkmann worked as a model from about mid-40 until December 43. After that, her career took a completely different path, my dears, just completely different. At the beginning of 1942, the German Nazis decided to expand the staff at the expense of the civilian population. After all, to work in such positions as liaison officers, staff assistants, guards or supervisors in concentration camps, it was not necessary to have military knowledge and skills. For the most part, just the desire to do this was enough. But, apparently, Hitler was all to blame. This was his war, Hitler's war. In addition, the Nazis offered really high salaries and career growth prospects. That is, the opportunity to make a name for yourself in large albeit smelly pools, or, as I would say, to make a person out of themselves. One day, Jenny Wanda Barkmann simply saw an ad in the newspaper. However, in her case, the ad was from the SS. "We're looking for workers for the concentration camp. Full social package and friendly team guaranteed." Surprisingly, Jenny was very interested in this offer and the opportunities it offered. And, dear ones, I'm not talking about money or fame now, because Jenny already had that. I am talking about something else. In January 1944, Barkmann arrived in occupied Poland, where she took up the position of a guard at the Stutthof Concentration Camp, located near the city of Gdansk. From the moment the camp was established in 1939 until the very end of World War II, about 110,000 prisoners were registered there. Approximately 65,000 of them remained in the camp forever. The most terrible things happened there: medical experiments, torture, the production of soap from human bodies, and much more. At the time Jenny took on her new duties at Stutthof, she was only 22 years old. Very soon, everyone could see the real demon behind Barkmann's angelic face. I mean, not only the prisoners of the Stutthof, but also other employees. Moreover, even some members of the SS were surprised by the determination with which the blue-eyed Jenny approached the case. She was considered the cruelest and, more importantly, the most resourceful warden of the Stutthof. She especially disliked the female prisoners. Dozens of them died, when she simply beat them with a stick and a leather belt. In addition, she personally selected those who were sent to the gas chambers. And this is not the worst part. Barkmann got special pleasure from separating children from their parents. So despite all the trash that Jenny Barkmann made and the fact that everyone was afraid of her, no one denied that she was an incredibly beautiful woman. The prisoners even called her the beautiful ghost. Personally, I don't think she's beautiful, if you're curious about my opinion. And even if I didn't know what she did in her life, I still just don't like her. What about you? Do you think she's beautiful or not? Unlike most of her colleagues, unfortunately, Jenny was very inventive and constantly improved her own torture. When ordinary beatings no longer brought her the same pleasure, she began to bring local doctors to the concentration camp, where she forced them to conduct medical experiments on prisoners. All of them were designed to cause only pain. And that's it. Newcomers were often confused by Jenny's appearance and the smile with which she greeted them. It seemed that this person did not wish anyone harm, perhaps even the opposite. But very soon everyone understood that this was not so, to put it mildly, and it was better not to look at her at all. After all, to send someone to the gas chamber, sometimes just one look was enough. This is approximately how Jenny spent the entire 44th year in Stutthof. May 45th year, Soviet troops approached Stutthof, liberating Poland from the Nazis, true, in order to eventually make Poland the Polish People's Republic. The Nazis, realizing what this is all about, evacuate approximately 11,000 prisoners, but another 3,000, most of whom are Jews, are simply shot. After that, most of the concentration camp workers try to escape the country. Some succeed, some don't, and some don't even try. Barkmann was one of the latter. It's not known what exactly drove her, but for some reason she decided to just stay in Gdańsk. And when she did decide to leave the country, she simply went to the city's main train station and stupidly tried to leave by train, not even hiding her identity. A wonderful plan, of course. But here's the thing, the most testimonies from survivors of Stutthof were about the beautiful ghost, that is, about Jenny Barkmann. At that time, she was one of the most wanted women in all of Europe. Who knows? I can only assume that this is why she decided to escape in this way. Well, no one would expect such impudence. But judging by the photo that appears at the end of the video, she didn't succeed. Of course, the woman was immediately captured by the military police, after which she was identified and sent to prison. There she turned on all the charm she was capable of, and flirting with the guard tried to convince him that she was innocent. She said that many of the concentration camp prisoners actually owed their lives to her. But in order to prove it, she just had to get out of prison, escape. It might have worked for someone, but the guard who was working at the prison that day turned out to be a Jew who had lost his daughter and wife in the Stutthof. So she had no chance. Soon a trial began, in which she was tried along with 4 other guards. Barkmann came to every hearing with her hair perfectly styled, constantly changing outfits, and openly flirting with the guards. Look at this photo of her sitting next to her lawyer. At first, Barkmann denied all the accusations, saying that the Gestapo had threatened her family with reprisals if she didn't agree. But that didn't sound very convincing. Then she started saying something else, that she had indeed joined the constabulary, but solely to alleviate the suffering of those who were there. Ironically, she had created it, again, a parallel. Considering that some of the same prisoners testified against the woman, this version also did not work. Finally, driven into a corner, Barkmann began to speak her mind. With a smile on her face, she described in detail her favorite tortures and how she personally killed women and children. All the masks were dropped. After the trial, she was sentenced to death by hanging. Upon hearing the verdict, she said the following: "Life is truly a great pleasure, and pleasure is usually short-lived." On July 4, 1946, the former German fashion model and one of the most brutal SS guards was hanged on Bishop's Hill along with other Stutthof employees. Nearly 200,000 people came to watch their execution. According to some accounts, the Barkmanns didn't die immediately. In short, the women who were to be hanged were taken by truck to this place where it was supposed to happen. A noose was put around their necks, and then the truck drove off. But when it was Jenny's turn, the truck just stalled. And at that moment, another woman just runs out of the crowd and throws Barkmann out of the truck. That's how she died. But there is evidence that she simply hung herself. The truck drove away, and that was it. Now on the screen, you see a censored photo of Jenny Barkmann hanging herself. If you've watched this video up to this second, you're the best. Don't forget to like it. Thank you to everyone who has already done so. See you next week.